8 months, 0 DWI arrests. That is the troubling reality in Carroll County, Missouri.
Former deputies tell KCTV5 their sheriff ordered them to stop arresting impaired drivers. KCTV5 investigative reporter Samantha Boring spent weeks digging into these allegations and the impact on public safety.
Carroll County 911.
Yeah, 4.
A sheriff. Sheriff McCoy, Samantha Boring with KCTV5 Investigates. Accused of not upholding the law.
Didn't really have the support of sheriff.
We were constantly threatened with our jobs.
And the former deputies who say DWI enforcement isn't happening. Welcome to Carroll County, Missouri.
It's a good old boy county.
Just under 8,500 people live here.
Drinking's a sport. Everybody drinks.
And the people responsible for making sure that drinking isn't combined with driving is the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. The Carroll County Sheriff is William Jewel McCoy. He served in this role for more than 5 years.
If we stop a vehicle and they're under the influence of alcohol, they get brought in.
But these two former deputies claim that isn't happening. They both left the department within the last year.
His big thing was, if you get a drunk driver, either call highway patrol or have them call for a ride.
Both say they faced blowback for arresting impaired drivers.
Literally, the sheriff called us and told us that he'd rather us deal with a 1050 than a DWI.
These deputies requested anonymity to protect their careers. Deputy Steve says this past spring, the sheriff made a decision for staff.
We had a staff meeting where we were all literally told, don't write DWIs anymore, write them careless and imprudent driving tickets and go home.
It took a few months, but KCTV5 Investigates got the numbers from the state to show what's happening. Since April 16, 2025, the Carroll County Sheriff's Office hasn't had a single DWI case in the court system. Records from the county show DWI numbers have dropped since last year. In 2024, the department had 16 DWI calls. This year, only 9. KCTV5 Investigates reached out to Sheriff McCoy several times for an interview over a 3-week period. Initially, we received a couple responses, but then McCoy stopped responding altogether. We decided to come here to Carroll County to get some answers. Initially, he wasn't interested in speaking with us. Why hasn't your office had any DWI cases since April?
Ma'am, I've got no comment.
But eventually he talked with us more as I shared the records we obtained.
Then you got all the records we got on DWIs.
None since April.
None since April. Ma'am, I'm sorry. People here, we just ain't catching no DWI offenders.
But there have been DWI arrests, just not by McCoy's sheriff's deputies. State records show there have been 19 DWI cases in the county since the end of April. 7 handled by Carrollton Police and 12 by Missouri Highway Patrol. The sheriff says the claims that his department isn't doing DWI enforcement are a lie. Why hasn't that been happening?
Because you don't stop a vehicle every day.
10-4, check there.
This all came to light when Mothers Against Drunk Driving in Missouri received numerous anonymous complaints that employees were no longer allowed to make DWI arrests.
That is against everything that MAD is here for.
MAD Missouri opened an investigation into the complaints. Executive Director Tabitha Perkins says she took the concerns to the department and encouraged them to make sure deputies have the tools they need to process DWIs.
He assured us that they were following the policies that are set in place by the state of Missouri to make sure that the officers can arrest individuals.
KCTV5 Investigates asked the sheriff about those tools, specifically the breath tests.
Yes, ma'am, we sure do. We got them over there at the office right now. So if they want to do a breath test on somebody, they can.
Well, the sheriff denies he told staff to stop conducting DWI enforcement. These former deputies feel more should be done.
I think it's sickening.
These two feel the sheriff wasn't following through with the cases they did have. The sheriff shared when a deputy processes a DWI, it's up to the sheriff to take the paperwork to the prosecutor's office.
And I'm telling you now, we bring every DWI case we get to the prosecutor's office. The deputies that are trying to stir up this trouble are the same ones that their cases fail on them in court. And that's how come they're upset. And they're no longer with me.
But these deputies believe the sheriff never actually took the cases to the prosecutor.
There was too many DWI cases that didn't get charged for it not to be a coincidence when people were clearly up out of their minds.
Carroll County prosecutor Cassandra Brown tells KCTV5 Investigates she reviews all DWI cases referred to her office the same way. Brown says she checks whether the initial stop was legal and the investigation was done properly. If both check out, she files charges. If not, she declines to prosecute. Through an email, Brown says, quote, "Since April 1st, 2025, I have not declined to prosecute any cases of DWI from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department," end quote. We followed up with the sheriff in an email asking, "Does that mean your office has not sent a DWI case to the prosecutor's office since April 1st? We did not get a response. For these deputies, they feel they knew what to do, and it was the sheriff that didn't want to do it.
49 to receive.
The man was elected to enforce the law, not to coddle criminals.
They want the Attorney General to get involved.
I am a firm believer in justice, but correct justice.
And for those on the roads,
how are you keeping them safe from impaired drivers?
We deal with these drunk drivers just like we do everybody else.
we reached out to the Missouri Attorney General's office to see if they've looked into these allegations. We're still waiting to hear back. Samantha Boring, KCTV5 Investigates.